The message arrived in the Hartley family group chat at 8:43 in the evening. I was rinsing a glass, half focused on nothing in particular, when my phone buzzed with the kind of vibration that carried weight before I even looked down. And then it was there, 10 plain words that hollowed out the room around me. "We've decided you should step away for now. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team of the channel Revenge Sins, inspired by real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotion, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative." For a long moment, I just stared, as if the screen might rearrange itself into something kinder. It didn't. The words sat there, unbothered, like a verdict typed long before it was sent. A second bubble appeared, nothing from my mother. No follow-up, no explanation, just her silence, which somehow felt more deliberate than any insult. Then my sister Brielle added a reaction, a bright, celebratory burst of confetti. A celebration. For my removal. My fingers tightened around the sink edge. I swallowed once, steady and slow, the way you do before making a choice you can't undo. And then I typed, "Understood. I'll step away from all family matters." The chat went still. No one asked what I meant. No one tried to soften anything. The space that had once been full of late-night crisis messages and frantic questions now felt like the clean, cold edge of a locked door. A quiet realization settled in. They had already moved on without me. I set the phone down. I did not cry. I did not call anyone. Instead, I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and logged into the emergency credit line I had created under my name, the one that had kept the family's restaurant alive far longer than anyone admitted. The numbers blinked onto the screen, orderly and obedient. $210,000. Every cent tied to my credit, my risk, my late nights. My hands didn't shake as I revoked every authorization linked to my family. One click, another. Access removed, control restored to me. When the final confirmation appeared, I exhaled once, slow and even, not triumph, not revenge, just clarity. Moments like this tend to linger with people, and if you are listening to my story now, take a second to stay with me, to follow each turn as it unravels. And if it resonates, you can like, subscribe, or leave a comment so more stories like this reach people who need them. Behind me. My phone buzzed again, a single notification from the group chat, but I didn't look back. The morning after the message, my mind drifted back to the first cracks in the Hartley dock house. Long before anyone admitted something was breaking, I remembered standing in the kitchen one humid afternoon as my father, Raymond, flipped through a stack of invoices with shaking hands. "Seafood costs are up again," he muttered. "We will just order more inventory and hope for a stronger weekend." "That is not a plan," I told him quietly. "It worked before," he insisted, though even he did not sound convinced. My mother, Elaine, hovered nearby, whispering numbers under her breath like they might rearrange themselves if she said them enough times. She never looked at me when I spoke. She only said, "Your father is doing his best. Olivia, the restaurant has survived tougher seasons, but it hadn't. Not like this." By late summer, suppliers had stopped extending credit. One of them, Lori Whitman, came in person, placing her ledger on the counter as if presenting evidence. "Raymond," she said, "we need payment up front. No more extensions." My father forced a smile. "Lori, you know us. We are good for it." She glanced at me instead. "Are you the one actually handling the numbers now?" Before I could answer, Brielle breezed through the doorway wearing a bright smile and holding her phone like it was a passport to a better world. "We are rebranding soon," she announced. "Once the new photos go up, business will explode." Lori blinked, unimpressed. "Photos do not pay past dues." Brielle laughed lightly. "You worry too much. When she walked out, Lori exhaled and lowered her voice. Olivia, something is off here. You can feel it. I could. Every day, the dockhouse felt less like a family business and more like a sinking vessel my parents were pretending to steer. That evening, my father said, "We just need a little help from you girls." But as his eyes drifted toward Brielle, it was clear he expected me to rescue the family while she posed as the hope of it. The shift was small then, subtle, but it was the beginning of everything that followed. The shift became impossible to ignore the day Brielle announced she had a vision. She said it loudly, as if the volume alone made it real. "We need a full rebrand," she declared, waving her phone at my parents. "New colors, new menu layout, partnerships with influencers in Charleston. People love a coastal aesthetic." My father lit up instantly. "That is what I am talking about. Fresh ideas." I kept my voice steady. "Rebranding does not fix unpaid invoices or the equipment lease that is already overdue." Brielle gave me a bright, polite smile, the kind that said she had already dismissed everything I said. "Olivia, you focus too much on problems," she replied. "You need to think bigger. Thinking bigger does not replace actual revenue." I answered. My mother stepped between us, smoothing the air the way she always did. "Girls, please, Brielle is trying to help. Let her explore her creativity." Creativity. That word followed her around like perfume. A few days later, she arrived at the restaurant with a photographer. Employees paused mid-shift as she posed against the bar, laughing on cue. Not one photo included the kitchen, the invoices stacked on the office desk, or the walk-in freezer humming with overdue repairs. When she felt eyes on her, she gestured toward me. "This is all part of the rebrand. You will see it will turn everything around." I kept sorting through receipts in silence. Later that afternoon, I overheard my father speaking to Jonah, our manager. "Brielle has real leadership instincts," he said proudly. "A new direction is exactly what we need." Jonah hesitated. "Sir, Olivia has been the one keeping operations stable." My father cut him off. "She helps, but Brielle is the visionary." The words landed with a dull, familiar thud. That evening, Brielle approached me while scrolling through her latest photos. "Dad says the team is responding really well to the branding shift." I met her eyes. "The team is responding to the fact that the electric bill is finally paid." She giggled softly. Not insulted, just unbothered. "You always make things so serious." As she walked away, her voice floated back toward me. "You should try focusing on the fun parts. Olivia, leave the heavy stuff to people who understand marketing." It was the clearest signal yet. The story the family wanted to believe was no longer the one I was living. My father's voice echoed down the hallway of the dockhouse one late evening. "If we can make it through the next quarter, we will be fine. We just need to push harder." He said that every week, as if repetition could turn uncertainty into truth. I walked into the office carrying a folder of overdue statements. "Pushing harder is not the issue. We need structure." He waved me off. "We are doing what we can." Elaine stood beside him, her fingers twisting the edge of a receipt. "Your father is right. Things always work out." I placed the folder on the desk and opened it. "This vendor needs a partial payment by tomorrow. The lease on the grill is $6,200 a month. The late penalties alone are climbing." My father frowned. "You sound dramatic. I sound realistic?" I said. Before he could answer, the kitchen door swung open and Jonah stepped in, wiping his hands on a towel. "The compressor in the freezer is failing again. The repair crew will not come back until we pay last month's invoice." My father looked at me automatically, as if the responsibility had already shifted without being spoken. "I will handle it," I told Jonah. He nodded and slipped back to the kitchen. My father let out a sigh. "Thank you, Olivia. We appreciate you taking care of the small things." The small things. I did not correct him. Over the next few weeks, I became the person everyone called when something broke, stalled, or threatened to collapse. My parents avoided difficult conversations with suppliers, but I faced them directly. One night I stood outside with Lori Whitman, the longtime seafood supplier, while she reviewed her ledger under the glow of her truck's headlights. "Olivia," she said, tapping the page, "I can only extend these terms if you promise consistent partial payments." "I can," I replied, "but I need 3 more weeks for the larger balance." She studied me carefully. "You always tell the truth. I will give you the time." Her trust felt heavier than the debt itself. The deeper I stepped into the chaos, the more invisible I became to my own family. They handed me their emergencies without acknowledging my solutions. They let me negotiate every deal, rearrange every bill, and fix every consequence of their decisions. One evening, after another 12-hour day, I sat alone in the office staring at the dwindling balances. My own future, my move to Atlanta, the job offer waiting there felt like something happening to someone else. I opened my laptop and created the emergency credit line, $210,000 tied entirely to my name. I did not tell my parents. I did not tell Brielle. I did not tell anyone. The next morning, when I informed my father that the overdue invoices were covered, he clapped his hands together. "Excellent. Things are turning around. Brielle's branding ideas must be drawing in momentum." I looked at him for a long breath. This had nothing to do with branding. He chuckled. "Everything is connected." When I stepped out of the office, Brielle was leaning against the counter showing a group of employees her latest photo shoot. She beamed when she saw me. "Look, Olivia. The dockhouse has never looked better. Her world was bright, curated, and weightless. Mine was stitched together with quiet decisions no one ever saw, and each silent repair pulled me deeper into a role I had never agreed to carry, yet could not seem to set down. The rewrite did not happen in one moment. It unfolded slowly, the way erosion eats at stone, quiet, steady, certain. It began the afternoon my father gathered the staff near the prep tables. "We are moving into a new phase," he announced. "Brielle will guide the creative direction. She has a strong instinct for leadership." I stood beside the sink, holding a clipboard. The room seemed to tilt for a second. Jonah shifted uneasily. "Sir, should we loop Olivia into operational updates before we—" My father cut him off with a raised hand. "Operational details are not urgent. Vision is what matters now." Brielle flashed a proud smile. "I will be coordinating all external communication. If you need anything clarified, come to me." One of the cooks glanced in my direction, confused. I didn't react. Confusion always passed. Erasure came next. Later that week, Jonah approached me quietly while I reviewed invoices in the office. "I was told not to send reports to you anymore," he murmured. "They said structural changes are coming." "Who said that?" I asked. He hesitated. "Your father. And Brielle." I set the papers down. "Thank you for telling me. It did not feel right," he said softly. His honesty stung more than the betrayal. The final blow came during a meeting with 2 potential investors. I had spent hours preparing the financial projections clean, organized, thorough. When the meeting began, I slid the binder toward my father. He pushed it toward Brielle instead. "Go ahead, present your plan." My breath caught. Brielle cleared her throat confidently. She opened the binder, flipped through the pages I had built, and began to speak. "These projections show a steady upward recovery," she said. "The revised supplier agreements and equipment renegotiations handled through my restructuring efforts have stabilized our debt." My father nodded with pride. "She has been working tirelessly." One of the investors smiled. "Impressive work, Brielle." Brielle accepted the praise without glancing in my direction. When they stepped outside to take a call, I turned to my father. "Why did you let her claim that those negotiations were mine?" He adjusted his sleeves. "You worry too much about credit. This is a family business. We share accomplishments. That is not what happened in there." Do not make this emotional. He snapped. We need a leader who inspires confidence. A silence carved its way between us. Brielle stepped back into the room carrying her phone. They loved the direction. She said brightly, I think we are finally being seen for who we are. I looked at her, then at my father. You are being seen. I said quietly, not we. Neither of them responded. That night, I walked through the restaurant in the dim after-hours light. I passed the freezer I had negotiated extensions for, the stove whose lease penalties I had reduced, the invoices I had arranged into manageable schedules. Every part of the restaurant felt like a place I had saved but no longer belonged to. And somewhere between the prep counter and the back door, a new truth settled into me with painful clarity. They were rewriting the story, and I was being written out. The night the group chat message arrived, something inside me snapped so cleanly it almost sounded like relief. I stared at my father's words again. We have decided you should step away for now. No explanation, no hesitation, no gratitude for the years I had held the dock house together from behind every collapsing wall. My mother remained silent. Brielle celebrated. That silence told me more than any family meeting ever had. I powered on my laptop and opened the emergency credit line portal. The balance blinked up at me $210,000, money tied to my credit score, my name, my sacrifices. I clicked through each linked authorization and removed them one by one. When the final confirmation loaded, I whispered to no one, You will not use me to fix what you break anymore. My phone buzzed again, another message from the group chat. Brielle, glad we are all on the same page. I didn't reply. Instead, I called Marcus Levin. He picked up on the second ring. Olivia? Everything all right, no? I said calmly. I need to establish legal boundaries, effective immediately. His tone sharpened. Tell me what happened. They removed me from the family business. They removed me from the family, actually. And they celebrated it. A pause. Then, start documenting. Every text, every decision, every financial transfer you made. I will draft the withdrawal paperwork tonight. Thank you, I murmured. Olivia. He added, Do not explain anything to them. Silence is your protection now. After we hung up, I drafted a short, professional email addressed to my parents and Brielle. I am formally withdrawing from all operational, financial, and advisory roles related to the dock house. All authorizations under my name have been terminated. I will not participate in future business decisions. I read it once more not to soften it, but to make sure nothing emotional had slipped in. Then I pressed send. A minute later, my father replied with one sentence. This is disappointing. We expected better from you. I sat back in my chair, letting the words pass over me without settling. Their disappointment was no longer mine to carry. By midnight, the house was quiet, but inside me something steady had taken root. It was not anger. It was not victory. It was finality, and once it arrived, I did not look back. The first sign of unraveling came 3 days after I sent the withdrawal email. I was pouring myself coffee when Lori Whitman called. Her name flashed across my screen. Unexpected and steady. I answered. Olivia, she said. I thought you should know I told your father we will not deliver another shipment unless payment is made up front. I closed my eyes. I assumed that was coming. He said you handled those things. She continued. I told him you are not the one making decisions anymore. His face fell apart. Thank you for telling me, I whispered. I trusted this business because I trusted you, Lori said. Without you, the math does not line up. When she hung up, a weight settled in my chest, not guilt, just confirmation. By the end of the week, Jonah reached out. He never called unless something was breaking. When I answered, he exhaled shakily. They repossessed the grill and the freezer today. I gripped the edge of the counter. Why the lease payment was over a month late? You kept warning them. Now the equipment company sent a team. They took everything within 20 minutes. In the background, I heard shouting Raymond's voice, frantic, blaming, unraveling. "Jonah," I asked quietly, "are you all right?" He hesitated. "I am leaving. Olivia." I submitted my resignation. A few others did too. No one wants to stay under whatever this is. I swallowed. "You deserve stability. You deserve honesty." His voice cracked. "They keep saying Brielle will handle things. She has no idea what anything costs." Before I could respond, he whispered, "They needed you. They pretended they didn't. Now they are drowning." He hung up before emotion could spill further. 2 days later, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. It was one of the investors Brielle had impressed in the meeting. "Olivia, I understand you are no longer involved, but we had additional questions." Brielle was unable to explain the projections or the supplier renegotiations. "We are withdrawing interest." I typed back only one line. "Thank you for informing me." The flood continued. My father emailed me late that night. "The bank is requesting new financial documentation. They say the structure looks unstable. Your mother is distressed. We need clarity about your records." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Clarity. They wanted clarity now. Brielle texted me separately. "Everything is spiraling. Why did you make this so dramatic? You could have helped quietly instead of walking away." I responded with the truth she refused to hold. "I helped quietly for years. You just never noticed." She sent back a single message. "You abandoned us." I did not reply. 3 weeks passed, and word traveled quickly. Staff resigned in waves. Suppliers shifted terms. The dockhouse, once noisy with long lines and warm weekends, became a place people described in the past tense. Then, one evening, Jonah called again. His voice was small. "They closed early today," he said. "No customers. No product. No plan." A long silence stretched between us. Finally, he added, "It turns out you were the plan." "Olivia." He did not say anything else. He did not need to. A full month passed before anyone in my family reached out again. By then, the silence felt like its own kind of healing. My mornings were simple. My thoughts no longer pulled toward crises I had not created. One Tuesday at dawn, my phone lit up with a familiar name. Mom. I let it ring. I let it stop. An hour later, my voicemail icon blinked. My father's voice filled the speaker steady at first, but thinner than I had ever heard it. "Olivia, we would like to speak with you. Privately. Things at the dockhouse are complicated. We could use your insight, if you are willing." He paused, then added softly, "Your mother misses you." I replayed the message once, not for sentiment, just to hear the shape of his need. By evening, Brielle's text arrived. "We should reset. Families argue. It does not mean you walk away forever. Come talk to us. We can fix this." I answered nothing. The next day, another voicemail from my father. "Perhaps we all said things we did not mean. You stepping back has created holes. We thought Brielle could handle the load, but the structure is more complex than we realized. If we reconsider roles and give you proper authority, would you return?" The words proper authority hung in the air like a promise delivered too late. I deleted the message. That night, Mom tried again, this time through a long text, gentler than the others. "Olivia, I know we failed to support you. I know we let things shift in ways that hurt you. If you can find space to talk, we want to rebuild. All of us." I read it twice. Her tone was careful, searching, unsure, but beneath every word was the same truth that had shaped the last month. They did not miss me. They missed what I carried. My phone buzzed once more, a final text from my father. "Please respond." I placed the phone face down and exhaled. Their urgency no longer had a place inside my life. The distance I chose had become something far greater than separation. It had become peace. It was a little after 6 in the evening when someone knocked on my apartment door. The sound was soft, hesitant, nothing like the people who delivered packages or canvassed the building. I knew before I even looked through the peephole. My mother stood in the hallway, hands clasped, shoulders pulled tight like she was bracing for weather. I opened the door halfway. "Mom, Olivia," she whispered. "Please, can we talk?" I stepped aside. She entered slowly, as if unsure she was allowed to. For a moment she just looked around my living room, her eyes landing on the quiet, the order, the life without crises. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled. "Your father and Brielle do not know I am here. They think I am at the dock house." She swallowed. I could not keep reaching out through those messages. I needed to see your face. I sat across from her. "Why now?" Her breath hitched. "Because everything has fallen apart. Because we made you carry too much. Because I let things happen that I should have stopped." A long silence stretched between us. She touched her chest. "I knew you were the one keeping us afloat. I knew how hard you worked, how many nights you stayed after we left. But I told myself families survive by supporting the child who shines brightest. I was wrong." Hearing her say it hurt more than the silence ever had. She leaned forward. "Your sister. She is overwhelmed. She is angry. She feels exposed. She wants you to come back so she can feel stable again." I shook my head. "I will not go back to clean up damage she created." "I understand," she said quickly. "I do. But I am not here to beg for the restaurant. I am here because I realize I failed you as a mother. I let the louder voices shape the family, and I let the quiet one, my steady one, carry the weight alone." Her eyes filled. "I am sorry, Olivia. Truly." My throat tightened. "Mom, I did not leave to punish you. I left because staying was killing me quietly." She covered her mouth as a sob escaped. "Can we fix this?" "Not the business, the family." I looked at her, at the woman who had stayed silent in every moment that mattered, who now wanted to repair something she had watched fracture for years. "You can work on the family with them," I said gently. "But the version of me who kept begging to be seen, she does not exist anymore." Her face crumpled. "So there is no way back. There is only forward," I said, "for all of us." She bowed her head, letting the truth settle between us. When she finally stood, she touched my shoulder softly, an apology, not a claim. "I love you," she whispered. "I know," I said. She walked out quietly, closing the door behind her, and for the first time, the silence did not feel like loss. It felt like freedom. 2 weeks after my mother left my apartment in tears, I packed the last of my boxes and loaded them into a rental car. Atlanta waited a new job, a clean slate, a life not tethered to the dock house or to the weight of my family's expectations. As I locked the door behind me, my phone buzzed with a message from Jonah. "Heard you are moving. Wherever you are headed. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for everything you did, even when no one else understood it." I read it twice. Jonah had always seen more than he said. Before pulling out of the parking lot, I sent him a short reply. "Take care of yourself. You deserved better than the chaos they created." The highway stretched ahead in long, quiet lines. For the first time in years, the silence around me felt soft instead of heavy. No late-night calls about broken compressors, no invoices waiting like open wounds, no pretending the people who depended on me actually valued me. Somewhere near the state line, my mother texted, "I hope Atlanta gives you peace. I am trying to change things here. I hope one day we can talk again, on steadier ground." I typed slowly, "Maybe someday. Not now, but someday." When I reached my new apartment, the sun was slipping behind the skyline. I stood at the window, watching the city shift into evening. My phone rested in my hand, warm and still. I opened my recording notes for the channel and spoke softly, letting the words settle into the microphone. If this story has stayed with you, if it echoes something in your own life, you are not alone. Feel free to like, subscribe, or share your thoughts. Your presence here matters more than you know. I ended the recording and let the room fall quiet. Forward. That was the only direction left, and for once, it was mine.